And we're back, another episode, AI for Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Ivanlee, my business partner, good friend, co-host, Christopher Lane. We're in the building, AI for Entrepreneurs, episode 4. Whoop, whoop. Let's get it going. Chris, last week in AI, what's on deck?
Last week, so we got a bunch of different things on deck this week. First, we're actually going to talk about the very first short film made completely using Sora AI from OpenAI. We talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it last.
I've been waiting for this segment to see it like fresh for the first time with everyone else. I've heard.
All right. So that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, because there's a few of them, but this was actually a kind of a full short film made, and I'll talk a little bit about it. I'm going to share my screen real quick. So on OpenAI, we can actually go to their first impressions, and you should be able to hear it because I fixed that this time. So this is actually brought to us by
Really quick, let people know what Sora is. Just super quick, like a super quick, like high level, just in case they may have missed some of the earlier episodes.
Yeah, Sora's it's a video generation model brought to us by OpenAI. The thing about Sora, there's other video generation models that are out there, like Runway ML. The difference is Sora is at least 10 times better than any video generation model that's out there today. They're in beta right now, so only select companies and production studios essentially get to use it. And this one company out of Toronto called Shy Kids used it to create the video that I'm about to play called Airhead. And it is the very first short film made entirely using AI. So Hollywood's a little bit in trouble here.
10 times better than anything that's out there right now in terms of AI video generation. Let's go. Let's see this.
Can you hear it?
Yep.
Well, they say everyone has something unique about them, something that sets them apart. It's just in my case, it's quite obvious what that thing is. I am literally filled with hot air. Yeah, living like this has its challenges. Windy days, for one, are particularly troublesome. Or there was one time my girlfriend insisted I go to the cactus store to get my Uncle Jerry a wedding present. What do I love most about my predicament? Or the perspective it gives me. I get to see the world differently. I float above the mundane and the ordinary. I see things a different way from everyone else. Yeah, and I feel like it's because of that perspective I'm reminded every day that life is fragile. We're all just a pinprick away from deflation. So I try to live life with a lightness, a buoyancy, a joie de vivre. I got a lot of ideas keeping this thing full. With any luck, I'll find a way to share them with everyone else.
Incredible. That entire
completely made. Yeah, not one of those was shot on a camera. That was 100% made using Sora generative AI, and then they did a voiceover. I don't know if they used text to audio, like text to audio, to make the voiceover. They might have actually just had a voiceover actor on that. But every video shot you saw, no CGI, no camera was used. It was only generated using AI.
Incredible. Like just the fact that they were able to have the human body, right? You have the human body, like they had those opening shots where you kind of see his hands, arm moving on the bike before they did the reveal with the balloon and the airhead part. Just tying that together, your human body with airhead, the nature shots, the way the balloons kind of flying over the lake, and just all that different stuff that
just the lighting that was used in it. I don't know if the lighting was generated or done in post, but the lighting and the film grain that was over it made it really, really have that shot on a camera feel and look to it.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Sora, just video generation AI is one of the things that I'm most highly excited about. I think that changes the game in terms of just creative people being able to get their thoughts out of their head and into the masses, right? Like it's going to completely change just content creation, social media, and then down the line, videos, movies, like how like larger scale content gets created. I'm I'm incredibly excited for us to get our hands on Sora. OpenAI, Sam, shout out to y'all, man. Can y'all let us play with it? Like, can y'all put it in our hands? We want to make some short videos too. Like,
I think what their biggest concern is how dangerous it could be in the public's hands until there's some sort of restrictions on it, especially with API access where it's kind of unrestricted.
That makes sense.
In a sense.
That makes sense.
Just imagine some of the deep fakes you could very, very, very easily generate using a tool like that, especially coming up to an election time. So I think they're strategically holding it back right now in order to make sure that it's going to be as safe as possible for a public release. I honestly don't know if they should release that to the public. I'd like to have it. Trust me. That could be real dangerous, though.
I get it. I'm looking forward to it nevertheless. I'm looking forward to it. That is out of all the AI, that's one of the ones I'm really looking forward to be able to like just, I have ideas, man. I have thoughts. I like creating content. I'm looking forward to it. So what's next?
All right. Next up, last week in AI, we were supposed to do this last week, but we rambled a little bit too much. And so OpenAI, in conjunction with a robotics company, have come out with a humanoid robot that's using an unreleased version of GPT. Some are calling it GPT-5. And I'm going to share my screen again. I want to take a look at this. So it's codenamed Figure 1. And let's take a quick look.
Hey, Figure 1, what do you see right now?
Yeah, can fully see.
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
Great. Can I have something to eat?
Sure thing.
The intricate like movements.
Great. Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Such a human sounding voice too.
Great. So based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them there?
Of course.
All right. So how do you think you did?
I think I did pretty well. The apple found its new owner, the trash is gone, and the tableware is right where it belongs.
I agree. Thanks, Figure 1.
So I'm not going to keep playing this. I want to talk about that a little bit. Because I have another one to show you, because they're not the only ones that are making AI robots. But what are your thoughts on that? I don't know if you took a look at this before, but
I don't like AI robots. Now, okay. Part of me, the practical person, the practical technologist within me knows it has to happen, right? It's already happening. Just, I have a friend, Ken, shout out to Ken Blank. We're going to get him on the show. So, but he works in Industry 4.0. And so he's been seeing this kind of happen for a while already, right? Like it just makes sense, like in the nature of capitalism, to be able to have a robot that can move that intricately, use its fingers and hands and process in that way. Like there's so much industrial usage for that it's unavoidable.
C-3PO.
Yeah, it's unavoidable that
it's a droid.
If you can do this, they're going to do it, if not nothing else, for the business practicality and efficiencies that it will bring. But
And that's
just
where it gets scary, though,
the
because
concept
Elon
of-
Musk.
let me land
Elon
it
Musk.
real quick.
Gad.
On the concept of, like, I grew up in the day, we grew up in the day and age of Terminator, and that robot looks a little too Terminator-ish to me. Like, it just, I don't know, I don't, that part of me doesn't
Cyberdyne
really vibe with
systems.
the whole AI robot part. But, you know, so like, I'm of two minds. What are your thoughts?
Well, and that's the thing. So that one isn't really the very first person who has talked about putting a robot in people's houses is Elon Musk, and he wants to do it. He wants to do it soon, and he's pricing these robots from Tesla under $20,000. I'm not gonna lie, if he comes out with like $18,000 and you get this robot that's gonna come into your house, clean up, do your dishes, do the laundry, take out the garbage, and is under $20,000, there is a high likelihood, Sarah will kill me, but there's a high likelihood I'm getting a robot. But let's take a look at the one from Tesla, because it's a little less Terminator looking, but it's also a little more, what's that movie with Will Smith that had iRobot? It's a lot more iRobot looking.
Okay.
So let's take a look at this. Optimus Gen 2.
Now, this is from Elon, correct?
This is from Tesla.
Tesla? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but Elon. It's literally branded with Tesla across its chest. It looks like the iRobot. Like, can pick up eggs without breaking them. So it could be as gentle as it needs to be. So Elon wants to put those. Oh, we're doing a dance party.
Hey. All right, now I'm wasting use for it.
But Elon wants to put those in people's homes sooner rather than later.
Oh man! So,
and again, under $20,000, according to him. These will be priced at under $20,000. He didn't say how much under, but even $19,999. That's less than a Honda Civic. There's a good chance I need one of those.
So me and my wife were talking about getting a dog, and
Get a robot.
And one of the things that we were talking about, we want to get it for the kids, and like obviously there's so much good literature in terms of how good dogs are for the family and for kids, and 9 times out of 10, there's a reason they're called man's best friend. But there's always that one time out of 10 or whatever the percentage is of when that you happen to get a little devil dog. That dog, family, and there's just snaps out and causes irreparable damage. And, so we're kind of debating back and forth in terms of like, just, pros and cons, and knowing that it's a small percentage, but like, is that worth the risk, even bringing in that small percentage? And that's kind of how I feel about like this whole AI robot things. It's like, I mean, I think they're connected to Wi-Fi. Like, there's this, there's that small percentage of like, that thing can go, it's metal, it's metal, and it has all these different capabilities, and like,
100%. It can go Terminator.
It can go Terminator, and like, I see the
Plus,
use,
not only does
yo,
it
I
have
see the
internet
use.
access, it has AI. It could see, like, it can make its own decisions.
Mhm.
And you have the 5 laws of robotics and all of that, and that really just gets into real more in-depth, deep discussion. But it doesn't mean I don't want it. And again, like I said, while I do want it, you have the point of the kids. I got my 3-year-old running around the house. It decides to go fucking haywire and smack my kid. I'm gonna be pretty angry.
Right. Yeah, it's just like what could go wrong could go really, really, really wrong, and that's
Really, really
AI
wrong. Yeah.
robots. And I get it. Even just people like worried about AI. Period. Right? And it's like, there's so many different great use cases in terms of what you could accomplish it, especially like for us entrepreneurs. But on the largest scale of things, like when you think of just artificial intelligence or advanced isolated intelligence, and you start thinking of like worst case scenario, like, we just growing up watching Terminator, like the worst case scenario is pretty ugly. So it's just,
And of
it's definitely
course, the
something
military
that
is looking at applications of AI.
Yeah,
They're
it's
giving them
definitely something.
drones to fly. Like they're gonna build Skynet. They're going to.
Yeah, so it's like, it's definitely something where, I'm just, I'm a big advocate of, leveraging his use as an entrepreneur, but like in terms of just overall safety and, humanity, I'm also an advocate of AI regulation and just certain levels of like safeguards. Let's just not kill all humanity and
Right, 100%.
like let's avoid that. But
And the EU actually kicked that off. It's not in our list today, so I'm not going to talk too much on it. But the EU just released a whole legislation around AI moderation and AI safety. So they're kicking it off. It's there. It's coming. They realize that AI isn't going anywhere, and if they don't kind of start to rein it in and regulate it now, it's going to be too late.
Shout out to the EU.
Yeah, right? For that specifically. All right, so next up, we're sticking with Elon and his robot. He also open sourced the XAI's Grok model. And he didn't just open source it. Like Meta has an open source model. There's a few other, Mistral has an open source model. But he open sourced it under the Apache 2 license. And what that means, that's the do anything you want with it license. In fact, his entire code of conduct for use of this is, I think it's like, quote unquote, be kind to other people. That's it. That is the only thing in the terms of use of utilizing this OpenAI, or not OpenAI, but this open AI model. So yeah, that could have, and granted, it's not the greatest of AI models, but the fact that you could do anything with it, and it's unrestricted. Whereas even the open source versions of like Llama and things like that, they have restrictions built in. You could ask this one, how do I build a gun from things in my house? And it's going to tell you. There's nothing restricting its use because Elon's very into his openness and freedom of speech and freedom of technology.
Yeah, shout out to Elon, man. He stands on business. Like he filed that lawsuit against OpenAI because he was part of the founding of OpenAI, and one of the things was they wanted to make sure that AI was open, and hence the name, and benefited all humanity. There's been some differences in terms of the interpretations of that whole mission, and hence a lot of the drama with Sam and whatnot. And which culminated in that lawsuit between Elon and OpenAI regarding their openness. So to see him take his model and open it up in that way, like, you got to respect someone who's aligned with their mission, right? Who, when they say something and they preach something, in this case, opening up artificial intelligence and democratizing it.
They do it.
He's doing it. He's standing by. He's standing on business. Standing on principle. I respect that.
Yes, and I don't really have much more on that. Just that's the news. He did make it public. He made it public on Pi Day 3/14. That little, Elon humor there. It was either going to be that or 420. If we're talking about Elon, the 2 days he was going to release that. And the last one, again, just a very short, just kind of informational. Microsoft. Last week we talked about Inflection AI. They have that chatbot Pi that has the empathy engine built in. So Microsoft actually just recently spent about $650 million licensing so that they could use that model as in their own, stack. And some of that might stems a little bit from kind of disputes going on with OpenAI and because Sam said, he hears, Microsoft trying to push one way and he doesn't want to be beholden only to Microsoft. So he's looking at other revenue streams, and Microsoft is seeing this going, well, we're not going to rely on OpenAI for our only internal artificial intelligence infrastructure. So they didn't buy it out per se, but they licensed the use of it. And in part of that deal, they actually hired on one of the founders they hired him into Microsoft to run their consumer-facing AI division. So it was kind of like a multi-part deal. So that's going on. Microsoft is expanding its artificial intelligence architecture and bringing Inflection into the fold through the licensing deal that they just put together.
That's pretty cool, man. Shout out to Inflection. I like that. I like that they kind of had that niche in terms of like we're gonna build AI, we're gonna build an AI model, but let's build ours and focus it on including empathy and that aspect of it. That's with AI, there's so many ways you can kind of niche it down, right? It's like the internet's the internet, but there's so many aspects of the internet, right? Like using it to game, using it to communicate, using it to conduct business, e-commerce, right? There's so many different niches and use cases within the internet. And I think that's kind of how, artificial intelligence is, whether it's like language models or prompts or creating custom assistants or putting it in the robots, just all these different things. And so it's just good to see someone who took a chance within that niche, especially in a niche like empathy, because, let's face it, the world can use more empathy. And shout out to Microsoft for balancing their AI portfolio. Good move for them. And more competition. Yeah. Like I love that, man. So that's what's up. More competition benefits us, the consumer, the developers, and
100%.
Yeah, excited.
And that actually, I know we broached on the not sanctions, but regulations that are coming out of the EU, which kind of pivots us over to our middle segment here, which today we're going to talk specifically about AI use disclosure for businesses. Right now, even companies like YouTube, if you go to post a video, they want you to disclose your use of AI in your content creation. And the question is, and before I give my opinion on this, I actually held off making social media content about this all week because I wanted to talk about it here first before I gave my verbal out loud opinion on this. Should companies have to disclose their use of AI in their content creation? I'm not going to frame the question any further than that. What are your thoughts on that subject?
No. I think it's a wasted effort anyways, right? Like, 1 second. Watch my screen looking. Wait 1 second.
It's the background image. Nope, that's the camera. Now you're floating.
Technical difficulty.
For anyone who's not watching this on video, if you do happen to be listening to this, Ivan's camera was a little messed up, and he's kind of futzing with it right now. And there we go. Ivan's
live.
And he was good. Nice live. If you're watching on video, you got to just kind of watch that interaction there. So back to your thoughts on AI disclosure.
Yeah, so I think it's a waste of energy. It's a waste of regulation. So if I put together a video, and let's say I use artificial intelligence to help put together the script, right? There's so many different levels in terms of how thorough that script is. Like it could be word for word, or it could just be some bullet points that I riff off of. So let's say it's just some bullet points that I riff off of, and then I record the video. But thanks to that AI, I had some bullet points to riff off of. I riffed off them. Am I supposed to disclose that? And then how are you going to know if I used it or not, right? Or if I'm being honest or not. Even if I use AI and I create a video script, the entire script, but then I run it through, I call my buddy Chris and I say, hey, what's an AI I can use to like make it undetectable by AI detectors, and then I run it through
I got
that.
some.
Like how are they going to know, right? So like I don't like rules that you can't necessarily enforce anyways. Like, one, why are you in my business? Like I use a lot of different things to come up with ideas. I scroll through Instagram and look at other people's content, and I'm supposed to like credit everyone, every source, every thing I use to put things together. If I use CapCut to edit my video, am I supposed to let you know I use CapCut to edit my video? If I use, an AI to chop up and, make multiple videos out of my longer form content, am I supposed to like tell you that too? Like, there's a lot of different things and tools that goes into video production. Like, even just think if I'm using Adobe and like all the different tools within Adobe, am I supposed to tell you, oh, I use this different tool? Like, no, I don't. I think it's a pointless. I think it's a pointless law, pointless rule, pointless regulation that you can't necessarily enforce.
So first, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I want to ultimately start by saying I agree with you 100%, because the last argument you just made was one of my biggest arguments, is tools like anyone who uses Photoshop, for example. I've heard arguments about, well, it's cheating, it's taking a shortcut, but so is using Adobe Photoshop instead of painting or drawing yourself. So is using the AI tools that are built into Adobe Photoshop. If you just want to expand your scene, you expand it and AI fills it. So would you have to disclose that as well, just using a professional design tool? AI is being embedded into so many different tools that are out there for creators, not even for creators, for pretty much anything. I don't think there's any content right now that's being created without some sort of influence from AI at all. I don't think it exists unless you are hand drawing on camera. And not only that, it has to be a film camera, because if you're using a new fancy-fangled cell phone, that image that it's taking, that video that it's taking, is using AI to adjust the lighting, your white balance. So there's no content today that's created without the influence of AI. But here's where I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Okay.
What about content and those people that build automations to literally go out, get some news, have the AI fully write a blog and publish that blog article without ever interacting with that piece of content at all? So
like
the finished
YouTube
product
channel
had literally no interaction from the human, from the business at all. So that's fully AI generated content. And while I pose the question, I want to counter the exact same sentiment before I pass it on to you.
Okay.
So while yes, that's something, and I don't know necessarily if you should have to disclose that. If it's creating something that people want to consume, should it matter how it was created? If I, as the consumer, like that content, I engage with it, I interact with it, I buy products from it, if it's serving its purpose, why does it matter if it was generated by AI?
Yeah, I agree. I watch a lot of, so you're talking about like faceless YouTube channels or those kind of automated news channels. Like I watch a lot of news, a lot of current
literally
events,
there's automated blog builders you could buy. I saw a lifetime deal, $59. You get like 1,000 credits a month, and it'll plug in some RSS feeds from news sources. It'll, you say, I want things about AI. And every time a new article is published that meets your parameters, it'll send it over to, OpenAI, write a blog article, and then post it to your WordPress website for you. So literally zero interaction from me.
So I'm talking about like even like faceless YouTube channels. So I used to I search, I watch a lot of news. I'm really into current events. So sometimes when searching for news, I'll come across a YouTube live channel, and it'll just kind of,
You see them everywhere.
It'll be like this AI automated voice with some B-roll footage, kind of retelling the news events or the news story of the day. And you can see it's all automated. So I'm a man of automation, a man of artificial intelligence. Like I went and researched exactly how to do it, and it's incredibly easy. But at the same token, when I see those as a consumer, I don't necessarily buy into it, right? Like I can tell the difference between a human being giving me perspective, a human being perspective, versus something that someone put together because they can and it works, right? Like it'll give you the nose, but it's very remote. It's very just all obviously all kind of created and patched together, if that makes sense. And
They all typically have this very bad voiceover sound that sounds like this.
it does, it does, it does, it does, it does, it does. And so my whole thing is like whatever, like create, let creators create, right? Like however you want to create, let them create. But the market, the public will tell you what they want. You know what I mean? Like the public will tell you what they want. Like let them, like I don't think like
Well, in addition to that,
like creating it using AI or I use this tool, or I don't think those particular channels should be penalized, like those faceless YouTube channels. If they find a niche and they find people who get value and use out of it, let them live, let them get the value and use.
Right, they get their subscribers, their views. They should be able to monetize. That's
let the people creating the content
why not
be rewarded for creating content that connected with those who could utilize that content and found that content valuable. Like let the ecosystem live. I think any platform should just grow the ecosystem. Don't start adding unnecessary barriers and unenforceable rules and regulations. And like, I think like that just dampers progress. Like let them live, let them prosper.
So not only that, but when you're using AI, being able to create really good content with AI is an art form in and of itself. You could have two people, one who's really, really good at creating with AI, prompting, they've spent their time, they researched how the AI they're using best, generates whatever it's generating, be it a video, audio, image, text, and they have perfected the art of getting good content out of that AI. But then you have person B who's never done it before, and they're going to get garbage. So just being able to create something worth posting that people would want to consume using AI is an art form in and of itself. It's like giving someone Photoshop. You could give someone who's taken the time to learn to use Photoshop that tool and they can create something stunning, and then someone who's never used it before doesn't quite understand it, and they're going to create garbage. So I don't understand how it's any different than something like, and than any other tool that creators use to create the content that's being put out.
Yeah, and it goes back to even that first video we watched with Sora, the Airhead video, and what I really also enjoyed about that video, honestly, like I wasn't necessarily, I was looking at it as a technologist, just like, wow, okay, AI can create all of this and just applications, or that as an entrepreneur, of course, because that's my initial way of seeing things. But the next layer in terms of what I was perceiving was honestly the message behind the video, right? Like just the creativity, like just like it was a really good feel good video. I liked that video. I enjoyed that video. I enjoyed the artistic style, the airhead perspective floating above the cloud, like just all of those different things that they added into it. And
those were prompted to look that way. Those scenes were prompted to generate in the way that they were generated. So if you didn't know how to do that,
but if
you just said, give me a shot of an airhead guy with a head, like you might not have gotten half of the shots that were in that video.
Or the video could have sucked, right? Or the concept
it could have
sucked. See, that's the thing. Like you can just because you have the tool to do something great. Think about all those companies or production studios with $1 million movies, AAA movies or AAA budget
that bomb in the box office.
Movie bombs, right? Like just because you have the resources doesn't mean you can pull it off, right? There's the concept, there's the idea, the execution, the delivery. Like there's so many other things that go into it. So like don't start criticizing a specific tool just because like you have to have the idea and the thoughts and the concepts and all these other things that go into getting the most out of that tool. And I think AI is the same thing, whether it's that's my choice.
Now, and I agree 100% with you. We're in agreement here. Absolutely should not have to disclose the use of AI. Again, even if it's the finished product and you didn't touch it at all, while, if people are willing to consume it and they like the content that was created, you still did what you'd still put the infrastructure together to create that content that people want to consume. You shouldn't have to disclose that in any way, shape, or form. If you feel differently, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this and you feel differently, comment and let us know, because I'd love to hear some good counterpoints to how Ivan and I both feel on this issue. There's a link to a really, really good article which kind of sparked the initial conversation that brought this issue to light for me. And I'll put that in the comments or in the description below so you could take a look at that article. Yeah, so that really, I guess, brings us into
the main segment.
Our main segment, yes. I haven't done any of those little overlays today. I've been real lazy with the production of this. So if you're watching, sorry.
So today's main segment, future of AI and entrepreneurship. This should be a fun conversation.
Yeah. And we're right on time. I mean, we're at just about 35 minutes. I mean, we're running on time today. Other than the literal no production, other than just us two little boxes next to each other, doing pretty good.
Hey, we're here, man. We're here. It's episode 4.
And we showed up, exactly.
We showed up, I think that's one of the main things in any aspect of entrepreneurship or just accomplishing any goal in life. It's just continuously show up. Now he's going to be able to, now he's going to have a 60-point game. I thought I'd go into my basketball references, but, as long as you show up, you ball out, you give each game your best, there's always the next game. So we here, man. Future of AI and entrepreneurship. So this should be fun, man.
It's gonna be in everything. It already kind of is. I don't think you're going to be able to do business if you don't utilize some sort of AI, some tool that has AI built into it. I think it's going to exponentially increase the amount of entrepreneurs that are able to come into the market because they're not running into a lack of resources. And some of those barriers to entry that existed prior to generative AI and AI in general existing, are being removed. Having something that can help you write copy, bounce ideas off of, create video content, even if you're not going to use it to create a movie, but creating B-roll for your videos, being able to auto chop up videos, being able to create blog posts, all of the different things that you would need to hire teams and teams of people to do are now becoming done easily by 1 or 2 people.
So what are some emerging trends that you're seeing with customers that you work with or entrepreneurs that you work with specifically? Let's try to tailor this conversation specific to entrepreneurs in terms of the future of AI. For me, there's a mass awareness of I need to start understanding this. That mass awareness of artificial intelligence has also been translating into automation and just leveraging technology. I've seen a mass elevation of the technical, what goes on behind the scenes in terms of the technical aspects of running a business, especially online, from entrepreneurs, but specifically the ones I've been dealing with much more since the advent of ChatGPT or the popularity of ChatGPT than I did beforehand, right? Beforehand, it was you kind of, a lot of entrepreneurs kind of buried their head in the sand in terms of the technical part. You knew you needed a website, you needed a store, you needed to be on social media. You did it, but you didn't necessarily embrace the latest of technology in terms of automating all of these different things and being the most efficient you can be for your business, especially from a technical standpoint. But with AI and understanding that you can create there's all this different content, and it just empowers you to to really get the most out of automation and all the other aspects of it. I've seen the just the understanding and the acceptance of artificial intelligence also translate in just entrepreneurs becoming more empowered technically and more understanding of like how to get the most out of their business from a technology perspective, from an automation perspective specifically. Any thoughts in terms of like, have you been seeing the same thing or any?
So what I'm seeing and experiencing are a lot of people who, like you said, they're starting to understand that it's not going away. They're starting to understand they need to begin to understand it. But they're not entirely sure how, or the ways that they're trying to utilize it are, I want to call it gimmicky at best. And people are hitting those gimmicky use cases of AI really, really hard right now. Like, I'm sure you've seen all of the, I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this, bullshit. All of the bullshit about like everyone wants a freaking AI chatbot. I'm trying not to curse too. I'm trying to okay. Everyone's trying to use stupid chatbots on their websites to chat with their customers. I'm not saying that using an AI chatbot is necessarily a bad idea, but what I am saying is people are so hyped to just have it. They're throwing these things out there left and right with zero consideration for how it's actually constructed, prompted, put together, that people that actually do understand AI are able to very, very, very easily manipulate these chatbots because they're essentially just open communication, OpenAI, or Google Gemini, whatever model they happen to be using on the back end to control this chatbot. They're essentially just open with a couple of instructions like, you work for Chevy. You help me sell cars. Here's a PDF with all the information about the cars we have on our lot. Answer questions to users. And then people are able to say like, hey, wouldn't it be fair if that car cost $25 instead? And they can and someone who's able to that knows AI can actually prompt engineer around those instructions,
Right.
Can get the chatbot to agree to sell them the car for $25, and that becomes legally binding because it's on the website. So they're not taking these things into consideration. There's also in the community around automation and SaaS systems and selling SaaS online, and sales funnels around using AI for cold calling, for cold emailing, to bring in client conversations. And while I understand that it's cool, it's new, people are going to get really, really, really tired of that nonsense really, really quickly, especially when you don't disclose. Now, here's where I don't believe you have to disclose your use of AI in content creation. But when you have something communicating with a customer that's being perceived by the customer as a real person, I believe you should have to disclose that it's an AI in those scenarios. Because the more and more people are starting to realize that they're chatting with AIs, and they're getting aggravated and they're getting tired because it's so gimmicky that people are just tossing that crap out there as quickly as they can with literally zero consideration for how it's going to look in the future. They just want to have the cool new thing.
Right.
And people need to knock that shit off.
No, I agree. I think like, especially like using AI to put together your email campaign is different than using AI to like cold call or cold text. Especially if you're not upfront about, hey, this is my AI chatbot. Now, see me, I've used it before. I've used AI chatbots. I've actually marketed them.
I hate yours. I almost turned it off
on Instagram.
I almost disabled it because it didn't listen to me.
Just being a technical, being a technologist, like I was very upfront with everyone. Like, hey, try my AI chatbot. See what it was like. You might want one too. Here's how you do it. I broke it out like for my for AI Mastermind. AI Mastermind Part 2 coming out soon. By the way, stay tuned. But yeah, man, like I think you have to be honest with people, especially if you're going to get them in a loop conversation or into a conversation with an AI. Like, don't just pretend that this is a human being and then it's actually AI. Like that, at that point, you're catfish. It don't feel right. You know what I mean? Like if you sell it to me as hey, use my AI, it'll get you to the support you need quicker, it's more efficient, plus it's fun to try. Cool, I'm with that. Like now you're just giving me an extra resource I can use to hopefully get to where I want to get to quicker. But if you're selling to me as, hey, this is Bob's going to help you out, and I'm talking to Bob thinking Bob's going to help me out, and then Bob really just like AI, I'm gonna be pissed. Nah, like now you catfish me. Like I'm sitting there wishing Bob a good day, and I'm sitting there talking to a computer. Like nah, like I don't vibe with that. So I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
So, but again, to stay on topic, so that's what I see with currently happening a lot. But what I also see happening slowly but surely and transitioning into it, and this is where I think the near future of using AI as an entrepreneur is going to be, as people get over the newness and the gimmickiness of it. You know, those early adopters are going to kind of fade out, and then you're going to get the people that really took their time and considered implications start to utilize AI in their business operations. And I think the very next thing we're going to see is people actually utilizing it in the operations of their business for things like data analysis, for those mundane tasks that would normally take, 3 or 4 hours. As an example, I'm not going to give names or specific people or companies, but company A has an employee and they spend 6 or 7 hours a week taking data from spreadsheet 1 and then reading through this and then compiling it into spreadsheet 2 and then pulling this next piece of data from spreadsheet 7 over here and basically just taking a whole bunch of data to compile it into a report. And they spend about 7 or 8 hours a week doing this, when you could very easily feed all of that data to AI, have it analyze the data, and just compile that final report in a matter of minutes.
Right.
And I think that's where we're going to start to see a lot of adoption in the business model for AI is more on the operational back of house side, more so than the front end client facing gimmicky side of things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're just at the beginning, man. Like I don't even think we've cracked the iceberg, especially in terms of business. Like it takes a while for businesses to adapt.
Yeah, we're only seeing what's on top of the water.
Yeah, exactly. Like the glistening speckles of what's on top of the water. We're seeing the mist. We're seeing the mist on top of the water, like because it takes
in the distance through one of those little those pirate looking glasses things, and we could see the icebergs coming.
Yeah, exactly. Like
we're not even near it yet.
Think about it. Like it takes businesses so long to pivot, right? Like it takes businesses so long to adapt, and especially when you're talking a total adaptation or a total reinvention of like how they're doing things that they've been doing for years, right? Like even just that data analysis equation, like it's literally AI can transform so many different things within one's business, within one's like operations, from creating content to processing content to digesting content, understanding content, reporting, management, strategy. Like it's just so much that it can replace. And then you have, obviously you want to be concerned in terms of, just human manpower, right? Because you do need that human touch for the business. And so I think finding that middle ground is going to be a process that happens in the next like 10 years. I think we're just literally just now touching the tip of it. Like we're just getting to the first stages of it.
I agree.
It's crazy.
I do want to talk
about like the amount of like jobs that can be replaced. Like not to,
And that's exactly what I was going to talk about next. Now I want to talk about the doom and gloom side of the future of AI in business, where it could be a detriment to larger companies, not from the business owner standpoint, but from the employee standpoint, but also how it could be a benefit from the business owner and entrepreneur standpoint. So, exactly the thought that you're about to go with. So
yeah, no, definitely. Like that's the thing, and it's gonna force the workforce in any country that really goes hard in terms of adapting AI and has access to AI. So I'm thinking like where we live, America, the US is going to force a lot of US workers to like really um understand it and leverage it to be able to compete, right? It's like the example we used last week, man. If I can hire an employee that is great at doing this, and that, but doesn't really leverage AI versus another one that is great at this and maybe that, but is a wizard at artificial intelligence, then that opens the doors for us to be able to accomplish so much, right? Like, and so, no, a lot of those who, there's never been a technology. It's almost like, I want to put this in context before I say it. It's almost like with the internet, there's a lot of companies that went out of business because they didn't put themselves on the internet, they didn't adapt to the internet. But but being a local business, you still had a lifeline because you had traffic, right? You still had foot traffic,
right? People in town that know your store.
Like it was necessary, especially when COVID hit. Then it was like, super necessary, right? Yeah. Like if you were just relying on local traffic and COVID hit and you didn't have like any sort of e-commerce or online space, you were done. But
people were scrambling to get their stuff online.
But you could still compete, or still survive. With artificial intelligence, it's like, if your company A competing against company B and company A is leveraging artificial intelligence, company B is not, company B is going to lose, right? Like, it's just, you're not going to be able to do so many different things as efficient as company A will be able to do. So from just a resources and efficiency standpoint, they're just going to smoke company B, right? And as an employee, as an entrepreneur, as any, like, if you're not leveraging artificial intelligence, like you're just so left behind, man. But yeah, especially for entrepreneurs, for those that are creatives, like, we're just like, this is our age. This is our age. And we're so empowered in terms of what we can create, what we can provide, the value we can put together, the content, the products we can create. Like, we got Darwin, the software programming AI I mentioned on last episode, right? So now I don't necessarily, if I have a great idea and me and Chris are beefing, I can go to Darwin and say, hey, Darwin, build this app. And it's like, show Chris, I'll show Chris. Look, Chris, look at that I built, like, you know what I mean? Like, it empowers people to the next level. So, like, this is the golden age for entrepreneurship. AI is the thing that, like, turns this into the golden age for entrepreneurship. I wish I could say that more elegantly, but, like, man, I'm excited for this next phase. I'm just happy to be alive. What a time to be alive. Like, imagine we had AI like 10 years ago when we first were like getting started on our journey, and all the different things we used to pay for, or got all the different things that like AI can solve, like that would hold us up as, just being
right. Like, well, once we get some sales, then we can do this because we'll have some money and blah, 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 blah. Like, now you could spend $20, get ChatGPT, and take care of a lot of those things that were those holdups.
Yeah, especially being a young startup company. Just two of us, right? It's not, you necessarily have like the hugest of workforces when you're starting out, and like, to be able to leverage artificial intelligence, man, we would have been so further along on our journey at such a younger age. Like, but I'm happy, it's here now. And I just encourage any entrepreneur to embrace it, to look out for it, and leverage it, because, AI, man, it's a game changer.
100%, 100%. And then again, like I said, from the entrepreneur business owner standpoint, I see nothing but good coming from it. If you're an employee, you work for other people, and your job is something that's kind of repetitious, it's done over and over again, you move this from here to here, you may want to start brushing up on AI or learning some good skills, because AI will eventually, maybe not so much right now, not in its youngest infancy, it will completely replace people. I can replace people with AIs that I have built. I can completely replace the need for them to have a job anymore. So if I could do that already right now, just think of what like even smarter people with entire massive teams of even smarter people could do at bigger like companies like IBM. I mean, not IBM, Apple, Google, any of those. Just pick a massive company, Amazon. Imagine what they could do with their teams of like the smartest experts in the world on artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
So,
I remember growing up and like a lot of the big thing was like auto workers or factory workers, right? And I remember just within my lifetime, like remember seeing a lot of them lose jobs or lose security. And, you know, from my understanding, generation ago, that used to be like a pillar of security, right? Like you could always go get a factory job and that would just
right.
auto worker job, especially like in that Detroit area. And
put this screw
lesson
here over and over all day long.
Yeah. And then, you know, robotics started coming into play and other, you know, industries started advancing. And I remember learning at a young age, like, don't get comfortable. I remember thinking that, like, well, yeah, you know, of course, because, you know, I was younger, right? So I'm seeing like robotics and internet and, you know, technology kind of. So I'm like, well, if a factory can have a machine do the same thing and put the same pivot in the same sprocket, right, over and over and over again, that's more efficient, right? Like you're complaining that they ain't gonna pay you to keep doing that. Like, don't get comfortable. And so, you know, fast forward 20 years later, I think that's one of the things, like, that's one of the biggest pieces of advice, and one of the biggest reasons why I'm happy with my career path in technology is because you can't get comfortable. And so for someone like us, people like us with ADD, who generally love technology, we are always on the next thing, right? Whether it's
if it's new and shiny,
AI,
it's got my attention.
New platforms, whatever it may be, like we're always into the next thing, right? We're always trying to see how we can leverage it and use it for our purposes as entrepreneurs or to better serve our client base, which is entrepreneurs, right?
Right.
You can't get comfortable. Like, and as an employee, like as a human being in this world, especially with the way technology advances, you can't get comfortable. You can't just bury your head in the sand and think it's going to pass and think you can just keep doing the same things over and over and over again and think you're going to be able to compete in this very competitive world where where a lot of wiser people or a lot more competitive people are taking the same technology and leveraging it to its absolute utmost. Like, you can't get comfortable. Shout out to those who really understand that message and dig into AI or really leverage it to its utmost. I'm excited for like young entrepreneurs. I'm excited for the next for like the next filmmaker.
Gen Z entrepreneurs that are just getting out of college, and realizing that way overpriced piece of crap paper is pretty meaningless, and they still can't get a job. I'm excited for those entrepreneurs because they're the ones that are really gonna take this technology and run with it, because it's going to be their only real way to start making a good income without going back and starting at an intern level or an entry level position after they just spent 6 years in college to get that overpriced piece of crap paper that means nothing. In case anyone's wondering, that's how I feel about college. I'm not going to be a doctor. Specifically a doctor and only a doctor.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it's completely useless.
I need my doctor to have that specific piece of paper, right?
That's what I said, unless you're going to be a doctor. And again, even then, a lot of the shit you have to learn because of those prerequisites, which are really only there to make sure that, you know, the college can get more money by selling you more credits, essentially. Because I don't need someone who's going to be doing surgery on me to have 7 years of freaking history of the world. I don't give a shit if they know nothing about the fall of the Roman Empire, as long as they know how to perform the surgery they're doing.
Yeah, I want my doctor to be as well educated as possible. So I'm, you know, I think degrees are meaningful in certain things. I think education as it goes, yes.
Education is important.
Yeah, but
college is stupid.
Yeah, I think like even college, I think that's going to transform, especially with AI. Like in terms of I think like there's certain professions where it's unavoidable, right? Like as a doctor, certain like philosophy, certain like the things that involve theory, science, etc. But yeah, like you just from entrepreneurial stuff as a business owner, as like hiring employees, like it's just different. And the way Gen Z goes about it is different. They tend to take a lot more within their own hands. They tend to be a lot more entrepreneurial. But even just like thinking like high school kids, and when they first get out into the world and they start dabbling in entrepreneurship, you know, just remember when we first started in 2000 and what, 10, 12,
11, 10, 11.
Yeah, we're the tools that we had access to, right? Like back then it was WordPress, right? Like, oh, we got WordPress, open source WordPress.
Yeah.
With WordPress, we felt empowered.
Look at all this great shit we could do with WordPress.
With WordPress, yeah, exactly.
They can still do great shit with WordPress. Don't get me wrong. We still use it today.
Yeah, but now, like, yo, like the tools, the first tools that these kids are going to be sitting down with, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. All right, open up ChatGPT. You know what I mean? Like your logo, like all the different things, the access to information, access to advice, access to strategy, like even just using AI to like put together your business plan, put together your business strategy. How can I, tailor
100%
to you and your specific goal, what you're trying to accomplish, right? You can tell, the more you tell about your business, the better advice it's going to give you. Like, it's game changing, and it's really exciting, especially for like, the high school kids and like the ones that's really just starting out now, man.
Yeah.
I get excited.
With that though, we're a little over an hour, so we're going to wrap up. Parting words, Ivan, mine to just any entrepreneur looking to get started. Skip college 100% unless you want to go be a doctor. Do your education on YouTube. Do your education through online courses, and really, really dig into AI, because it's going to be vital for your success in the future, whether you want to start a business or you want to go work for somebody else. Those are my parting words for the day.
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of tailor mine to kind of match yours. I'm a big believer in mentorship and partnership, and finding people that can provide value in synergistic ways, and kind of help you in ways that you need help, where you can help them in ways that they may need help. I think, more of us, we need to work together to accomplish better things, bigger things. Don't be afraid to ask those who've been in that space, in that lane, for assistance. I think the right mentorship could be dramatically more impactful than in college, or just going to learn the theory about whatever it is you're going to learn, especially, a mentor that can plug you into that space after that mentorship. But above all, just don't get comfortable. Leverage artificial intelligence. Stay on top of what technology could do. Whatever you do, don't put your head in the sand. And Elon Musk said, be kind to other people. Peace. We out. AI for Entrepreneurs. Episode 4. Whoa.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Like, share, follow, all that fun stuff you're supposed to say. The more love you give us, the more likely we are to keep doing this. So please, we always need motivation. Like, share, follow.
You